Like right now, if you go to my parents' house in my old room, I got like a whiteboard up there, and it got at the top it says Bonton Media LLC. It got get a tax ID number. It say start my business, and that was like what I would look at every single day.
Yeah,
I would wake up. That would be my goal. Even when I didn't know how to do it, I knew that there was something I wanted to do.
Gotta make it manifest, bro. Ain't nobody gonna do it better than you.
Man, look at me, man. Look at me, man.
Yes, sir. Yo, got my boy right. Let's go. I'm in the league.
Man, look at me, man. Look at me, man.
Welcome back to Voices of Change podcast. This is season 2. And man, I can't tell you how happy and excited we are today to finally be able to bring season 2 to you. After a couple of months, season 1 went very well. We had a lot of feedback, a lot of great guests that came on the show. I get, several people always asking when the next episode coming out. So man, finally, it's after much ado, it's finally here. And today we have a special guest in the house. We have Mr. Kel Bonton. Now, around this area, that name rings bells. He's a multi-award-winning business owner. He's a creative husband, father of 3, who turned his dreams into reality. And we're going to get into his story. Welcome to the show, Mr. Kel.
Appreciate it, man. Glad to be here.
Man, glad to have you on, man. Heard a lot about you in the community. My cousin, y'all very well acquainted, Mr. Brandon Perry.
That's my
your
brother.
shout out.
It's my brother from another.
Yeah. How you and Giz met?
So when I went to Peabody, I went to junior high at Brame.
Another war horse, y'all.
Went to Peabody, go war horses. I'm proud of that. So I was actually, I crabbed in the marching band there. And me and him were freshmen together. So I actually met him there, and we went through the band and everything together. And we kind of grew a friendship, and we actually went to college together as well. We was actually college roommates, so that's like my brother from another for real.
Yeah, as close as y'all are, I didn't know that y'all only met in high school.
Yeah, we met in high school, freshman year in high school. That's where I met him, man.
That's what's up, man. So we're talking about your career, as a film. What's the correct terminology for what you do? Filmmaker?
Film. It's a lot of different identities for that in today's world. You got filmmaker, creative. I just say just creative. That's it. I'm just a creative artist. Yeah.
Yeah. So let's. Where are you from originally?
So born and raised in Alexandria, Louisiana. Come from a 2-parent household. Raised up in church.
Yes, sir.
Always had a creative influence. My dad was in the band as well at Peabody. He was a drum major, and he went to Southern University, was in the human jukebox. So that influenced a lot of my early influence when it comes to music and just anything creative,
Almost like Nick Cannon's dad on a drumline.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's dope, man. So what year was your dad at Southern?
So he graduated Peabody in 79, and then he crabbed at Southern that following fall. So
you play the drum? You play any instruments?
Yeah. So coming up in church, I was in the choir. I played the drums, and I became a trumpet player in junior high, and I played trumpet in high school as well.
Man, so you do trumpet solos and did little stuff like that?
Back in the day, I did a little something. We did honor band and all that good stuff,
Yeah.
But yeah, so I'm actually, I'm a trained musician, so I know how to read music. I know how to write music. I actually used to compose music in the band as well. If you know a little bit about like black bands or anything like that, they play like popular music, right?
Yeah.
So I used to be the kid in high school that would, instead of going to lunch, and shout out to my teachers that allowed me to do this, I used to sit in, and I never forget, in Ms. Williamson's lab class, and I had a program to write music. It was called Finale. And I used to listen to different songs and stuff, and I used to compose it for the band so we could play it at the next game and stuff. So, yeah.
So you was already kind of ahead of the curve by doing that?
If you could say that, yeah. That was me. That was the things I was interested in back then.
Yeah. So you say you're a Peabody Warhorse graduate.
Yeah, man, Warhorse. I know you know to throw a little shade to the
Trojans,
Warhorses.
man. Got to shout out my Trojans. You class of 08?
Yeah, 2008. Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. So what was your major in college?
So I started off as an art major with a concentration in graphic design.
Okay.
So that kind of was more like fine art stuff. So we did a lot of painting, drawing, sculpting, different things like that. I went to ULM. And I did that for about 3 years. And I got to the point where I was looking forward and I was trying to see where I could see myself with a art degree, you know what I mean? At that time, I was really, really invested in my own music career. So that's what I was pursuing. Like, I really wanted to break into the music industry. That was my passion. And a professor told me that maybe I would be interested in switching my major to mass communication because I was already like doing music and I was doing my own music videos and different things like that. So that was the type of things I was doing around campus that people knew me for. So I thought about it, and mass communication was also in the kind of like the art curriculum.
Yeah.
So I was able to stay on path with my graduation time if I took a summer class. So I took a summer class and I switched over to mass communication. And this is kind of like how God steps in and he works, because at that time, I really didn't know. Like, I was like, man, I did art for 3 years and now I'm switching my major. I didn't want to get behind because my parents didn't have, I didn't have the means to stay in college longer than had funding for, you know. But it worked out. So I switched over to mass communication and I ended up getting like some more formal training on some of the stuff that I was already doing, like with videography for us. Like, we did newscasts and we did editing. I had access to a Mac lab where I could edit my own music videos. I could kind of learn more about the technical side of things.
Wow.
And graduated in mass communication 2012, and I went from there and went straight to a job here at KLAX, which is a local news station. And I was doing all the commercial production for them. So that kind of was leaning me into like dealing with working with clients and working with not just on the music side of things, but on the more corporate side of things.
Okay. Let's backtrack a little bit. You say you was a rapper at first.
Yeah,
so
you could say that.
When did you start rapping and rhyming?
So I started producing music, I would say maybe like 15 years old.
Okay.
That was around like my sophomore year. I started kind of playing with it. And for me, originally, I was always kind of like known as like the quiet kid in school, kind of like the creative, like to myself.
Yeah.
So I started kind of writing as a way to kind of express myself and to kind of vent and to get my thoughts out. And I was already, an avid music listener. My dad had kind of brought me up with a lot of, classic gospel, soul, R&B, that type of music was my influence. So I kind of meshed the two and kind of put my own spin on it as far as like with, doing rhymes and stuff like that. So
will we be able to hear a little rhyme from Kel today?
No, not today. Nah, that bag is in another place right now.
I have a brother that's a rapper. He went to Peabody. Do you know Shaquille Shinnervert? He goes by Millie Matoire.
Yeah, I know him.
Yeah, that's my brother, man.
That's what's up, man.
Dad.
He talented, man.
Yeah.
We've run into each other a couple times, but yeah. Shout out to him.
Most definitely. Shout out to Millie, man. He just had a birthday on the 2nd.
Happy belated birthday, brother.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Let's see. Okay. You're married. You have a family. So you want to talk about how you met your wife or, your family a little bit?
Yeah, so actually, funny story. My wife, we actually, I never met her like in high school. She's from Alexandria as well. And she went to Ash, and we never crossed paths our premature or adult life, until I moved back from college.
That's crazy.
And I was starting to do a tour for this album that I had called All I Ever Wanted. So I was doing a lot of live shows at that time, and my now brother-in-law, he invited me to come to this showcase that he was doing at the VFW.
Okay.
So I was preparing for that. And I remember driving around town, and I remember the first time I actually saw her, I was at Chuck E. Cheese with my cousin. I was taking my daughter.
Huh?
Yeah, I was taking my daughter to Chuck E. Cheese.
Yeah.
And when I was on my way out, I saw this beautiful young lady, and I was like, man, who is that? I never seen her before in my life. And you know how somebody catch your eye, you know, from afar. Yeah. So I kind of noted it and went on by my business. And maybe a month later, I was going to my grandmother's house. She lives on off the projects over there on Broadway.
Okay.
And I was passing through the gas station, and guess what I see? I see the exact same girl at the pump at the gas station, and I was just passing through, and I was like, man, she looked familiar to me, you know. So I brushed it off. I didn't stop or anything. I kept on going by my business. So getting ready to prepare for this show, go to the show, perform or whatever, and I look out in the crowd and I see her there.
Come on. With
some friends. So I was like,
you shouted out on the mic?
No, I didn't shout out on the mic, but what I did, actually, before I went on, I went up to her. She was with some friends, and I was like, and this was before like we were both in a place where, you know, we took our spirituality even more seriously than we do now. You know what I mean? Yeah. We knew of God, but I was still doing some things that, you know, wasn't in alignment with the beliefs that I have now. Yeah. So went up to her and I was like, you know, hey ladies, my name is Kel. I'm about to perform in a little bit. I would love for y'all to, you know, tune in. So I said that and I went out, did my thing. And long story short, kind of find out she was her sister dated my homie that put on the show. So that's why she was there.
Come on.
And long story short, we got in contact and man, we hit it off, and that's my best friend.
That's what's up, man. It's important to marry your best friend. How long y'all been married now?
It just made 5 years.
5 years.
Yeah.
What you did for your anniversary last year?
Last year, what did we do? I believe we went to New York last year. Okay. We took a trip out there. We normally try to, you know, I like to go different places that we've never been before and just have those experiences. So we had a good time out there.
How was that New York trip? The weather was cold?
Man, it was cold. I was looking forward to it, though. Like I like the cold weather. You know, I like to dress for it. Yeah. So it was a lot of fun, you know. Me
and my brother always joke, we like to... we call this our getting fresh weather, our getting
for sure.
James St. Patrick. We put the pea coats and the sweaters and stuff like that on. I like dressing up.
Absolutely. I love it, man. And the atmosphere. And granted, at that time, it was still kind of like COVID-ish. Yeah. So it wasn't like full out New York City like it would normally be, but it was still a lot of fun, you know?
Yeah. That's what's up. Backtrack a little bit more to it. Like when you graduated from ULM, how did you know to come back home to get the job with KLAX? Did you have other offers, or what made that decision?
So I had my daughter at the time. She was, I don't know, maybe 5 or 6 years old. So I had ties to Alexandria because you know my main priority when I graduated college was to try to get myself established so I could, you know, take care of her.
That's right.
So when I came back home, I had my mass communication degree, so I was looking for different things to do. And I applied for a few different news stations, but they're the ones that hired me, so I ended up landing there.
Yeah. So with the mass communications degree, can you anchor as well, or is kind of behind the scenes?
Yeah, so most people with mass comm may... degrees, you'll see them behind the camera, in front of the camera, maybe PR. It's a wide, maybe news, newspaper. It's a lot of different career fields that could kind of accomplish, you know.
So most of the people like that we see on maybe ESPN or different broadcasts like that.
Yeah, all that's mass communications. You know, some of them have a degree, some of them don't, but it's that field, you know. Yeah, it's all kind of in that umbrella.
Yeah, that's pretty dope, man. So that fell under, like you said, as an artist, that was, you say your professor recommended you to go there, as opposed to getting that mass communication degree. What were you getting a degree in before that?
Art. I was going to be graphic design.
So would that be the same? Could you could you do what you're doing now or be hired as at the radio station or TV station with that degree?
With graphic design?
Just with the graphic design?
You could, but that's a whole different path. So that's more so when you think of graphic design, that's like people who make design work, magazine, flyers, and that's on the low level. But, you know, any type of design or anything like that. Now, don't get me wrong. I got some skills that I absolutely use to this day to help me market myself. And I think it's a blessing because I got kind of like an all-around perspective on full circle on how to market a brand or market somebody, you know, and that kind of ties into what I'm doing now. Like that training, that experience, it helps me to see things from totality versus just one way or one side of it, you know.
Yeah. I understand what you're saying. All I was saying was when that professor gave you the idea to go to mass communication, that seemed like that made a bigger impact than
absolutely. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, 100%. That was probably one of the best decisions I could have made in college. Yeah. Not only with the experience, but just the access that I had to the equipment and the technology for me to be able to spin with it and learn it while I was there. It was definitely a blessing.
Man. Okay. So talk about some of the first equipment that you got with, as opposed to what you have now, starting out with your filming and stuff like that.
Yeah. So not to go too back far, but I remember when I first started music and I needed a camera to kind of shoot my own music videos, and people could look this up. I think I had like a Canon Vixia. And what that was is kind of like, you see these like camcorders that you can buy from Best Buy. Yeah. It's like a consumer level camera, maybe like a couple $100. Yeah. And I'll never forget my grandmother put up some money to buy me one because I was interested in it. And shout out to Grandma. And I used that, and a lot of my early music videos were shot on that Canon, that camcorder. It didn't have a whole lot of settings. The quality was okay for that time, but it was something, you know, and I got my start with it. Eventually from there, I kind of graduated and I got my first DSLR, which was the Canon 7D, the original one. And that was my first camera that it could do photos and video. Film. Yeah, it could do film and photos. So I used that camera and I shot a whole lot of music videos for myself with that. We took that camera, a lot of my earlier behind the scenes documentaries and stuff that you could look up on me was shot on that Canon 7D.
So tell the people where they can go and look at some of this stuff at. You said
so you could probably YouTube Kel Bonton. You see a lot of my earlier stuff when it comes to like music and stuff like that.
Okay, and the people that want to get in touch with you, you're on all social platforms?
Yeah, so my personal social is Kel Bonton, and the business is Bonton Media.
Bonton Media, yes, sir. Let's talk about that. When did you launch Bonton Media?
So Bonton Media, I really started it way back then. You know, at the time before all that stuff happened, I called it Fly Guy Films. Okay. Because and I don't know if you know this from Giz, but I kind of started this makeshift record label when I was like 16 years old. It was called Fly Guy Entertainment. And it was me and some of my friends, and we were just kind of like having fun figuring out doing music because we love music. Most of the guys was in the band with me. And I started Fly Guy Entertainment, and then I kind of branched off Fly Guy Films because we were doing like music videos and stuff like that. So I not only shot my own music videos, but I did it for some of the guys who was around me and wanted to do music as well. So that was kind of like, as a teenager, that was me not even knowing, like kind of getting into like what I'm doing now. Yeah. And now that I look back on this, like how God was kind of preparing me even then, just the mindset and like the different things that we were doing, just being kids, how I can use that now as an adult and really making a lucrative business out of it. Yeah.
To my listeners, basically, I want to target my teenagers or the young men. Like, school is important. If you listen to Kelly, what he's saying, a lot of these ideas of what he's doing as a grown man now were formulated when he was going through high school, getting you know, in the band, and his dad laid the foundation. But school is important, you know. He's able to do and work on it, work for himself because he went to school. He graduated from high school, he graduated from college, and you can't put a price on working for yourself and doing things you know, like you said, God's way. This is his path. This is the path that God put him on. But he had to take that challenge and eventually make it work. 100%. So you say, what church you go to? You're a man of faith, and man,
yeah,
I
absolutely.
That,
so
most definitely.
I grew up in Mount Tryon Baptist Church off of 3rd Street. And so I attend that, and I also attend my wife's church, Holiness, in Bible Way Holiness. Is in Melville, Louisiana.
Yes, sir. Is that Mr. Pat? He's the yes, sir.
Yeah, that's my father-in-law. So
yeah, so his father-in-law is also one of my chiefs. He's a first assistant chief now, and I remember maybe I got on in April 1st of 2012, so this had to be like 2010 or the end of 2010. He served with my dad in the Gulf War, I think. And my dad told me to go go talk to Pat. So I went by, I called Pat, and he said, come by the station, you know, and he encouraged me. He said, stick with it, you know, because at that time, at the fire department, you know, if nobody retires or nobody leaves, there's not an opening. So I had to stick with it, and I'll talk about that a little bit. But so Pat encouraged me to stick with it and come on, you know, and April 1st will be 10 years.
Awesome, man. That's a blessing.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. That's my father, you know, definitely like a second dad to me.
Yes.
And he's a good guy, genuine.
Real good guy, real genuine guy, like you said. Okay, so where did you get the name Bonton Media? Like you said, what was the transition from Fly Boys, Fly Guys?
Fly Guy Entertainment. So, and I'm sorry, let me go back because I didn't answer your question all the way. So, did Fly...
Could you try again?
So we did Fly Guy Films, and then so later on, after I went through college and everything, when I started working at the TV station, I was doing like videos and stuff for like clients and people that I either had relationships with in college, or you know, people who knew me from either music or whatever, or doing videos, and they would reach out to me, and I was kind of doing that as a side hustle. So it was, you know, some years I wanted to start my business, but I was kind of like, you know, a little reluctant.
Yeah.
I won't say I was scared, but I was like, man, it was almost like worry of, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to do it. Like, what all do I have to do? I didn't know a whole lot about doing it for real, you know. If I would have known what I know now back then, even doing music, I think I would be a lot further. We was just doing it, you know. For as like whether it be copyrights or whether it be starting your LLC, I wasn't knowledgeable about a lot of this stuff earlier on. Yeah. But as I got older and when I graduated college and started doing a lot more research, I learned like what it took to start an LLC. I learned what it took to do your taxes right, and to how to, you know, have resources and stuff. But that took time for me to build relationships with people who I could either see them do that or ask them, you know. Yeah. Because none of the people in my family have a business, you know. Yeah. I'm like the first person in my family that owns their own business, like immediate family, you know.
I can relate to that, being an owner of a barbershop, you know. I really feel like there should be a class or something for that.
Absolutely.
Like, you know what I mean?
You
The
would think
things
so.
we learn, being an LLC, what you can write off on your taxes and stuff like that. Like, a lot of that stuff is like learning on the fly, but there should be some kind of ground floor class to kind of up to speed everybody that wants to go in that direction.
I agree 100%. And you're a little bit older than I am, but even when I was coming up, they didn't have like the financial literacy. It wasn't like readily available. Yeah. I think with my kids and with my daughter specifically, they're starting to offer that a little more frequent. Like you'll see like financial literacy and stuff like that, which I think is great. Yeah. And I think we're in a time where now technology is so rampant. Like you can research anything, you know. When I was in high school, maybe it's not so much. The internet was still kind of developing, you know. It wasn't known as somewhere where you could learn anything at any time or learn trade. But now, I mean, with YouTube and with all these different platforms, you can learn how to be anything you want to be, you know.
Everything is readily accessible.
Right. So
what grade is your daughter in now?
So she's 10th grade.
Okay. I have a freshman. He's at Pineville.
Yeah. So you know how it is, you know, raising a teenager. Yeah. But after I finally built up the courage, like, you know what, I'm gonna go ahead and start my business, and I'll never forget.
What year was that?
So I established it in 2018. Okay. That's when I got the paperwork and everything, filed it with the state official Bonton Media, And the reason I chose Bonton Media is because I want to have something that I could pass on to my kids.
That's right.
Something that's tied to, our name they can be proud of. I want to build something that nobody else can take away.
That's
so,
right.
Regardless of if they choose to go into that field or not, they always have that company or they have something that they can either stand on or build off of,
I talk about that. I've shared this on the show as well, but with any business, with any company, the vision has to start with the person that founded it. If you think about McDonald's or Burger King or any like BMW, any business or brand that you could think of, that vision started with that person and it's expanded to what it is today. But if you listen to a lot of those guys' stories, they did it with little or no money, or this is what they felt they had to do. We all have to take that risk, have to take that step, but success is imminent if you stick with it and be consistent like you are. So what was one of your first clients that you worked with once you started Bonton Media? One of your first projects?
That's a good question. Let me think back.
Okay.
So I remember, and this kind of comes into God working with me too on like building my faith and really get me to the place where I really like started living for Him like fully, because you got to think about it. After college, I was still kind of halfway in the music industry, still trying to like figure out what I was going to do with my life.
Yeah.
So with the music industry, it came like me performing in clubs. It became with me traveling a lot. I was meeting all kind of different type of people, some good, some not so good, So I was around all of these different environments, And I felt like God was trying to cleanse my life and trying to put me in a place where He could work with me and He could make me what He wanted me to be versus this vision that I had. Like I had tunnel vision. Like I want to be a rapper. I want to be this. I want to go far with this. I want to win Grammys. I want to do this, which was fine and good. But what about what God wanted me to be?
That's right.
So I came to a place to where I was still working with some clients, and I never forget one of my he's a good friend of mine now. I used to go to this club that he owned, and I used to film like highlight videos of like the club nights or whatever, right? Yeah. And I never forget my wife now, she was like, I know you, how can you, even if you're not doing anything, because I don't, I didn't smoke, I don't drink, I don't do stuff like that. Like, but I was there just filming the stuff that was going on. She's like, how can you try to be a light when you in the place, regardless if you're doing something or not, you still there and you capturing that.
Right.
And I resisted it for a little while because I was like, look, it's extra money, I'm trying to, do something, I'm building my business or whatever. And, but it hit me one day and she didn't nag me about it, but she did mention it, and it kind of, it kind of convicted me a little bit. Yeah. And how sometimes we can be like, how you gonna tell me? Like, I know what I'm doing. Mm-hmm. But I had to humble myself, and I realized, like, you know what, you're right. So I told him that, I was like, man, I appreciate the opportunity, but I'm trying to go a different direction in my life. I really can't film clubs or anything like that anymore. And that was my first time really taking a stance on really differentiating myself from just any and everybody who would just take a job, you know what I mean? And that kind of helped me to build my integrity and my value system with my company and my backbone, to be able to say, you know what, it's okay to turn something down if it's not aligned with what you want to do or what your values are.
That's it.
And literally after I did that, it's like God honored that because He knew my heart on that. And man, the floodgates just started opening. I started getting opportunities to do different things for different businesses and different brand gigs. And I started kind of work my way up and kind of build my way up. And I would say the way I kind of got into the corporate side of things is this marketing company approached me and they wanted me to start doing videos for some of their clients. So they kind of opened me up to a whole nother world other than just like the music and like the entertainment industry.
Yes, sir. So reading a little bit of your bio, like you said, you worked with some of the top people around here. City of Alexandria, Alexandria Police Department, Kinetics, the George Real Estate Group, Ugly Mug Marketing, LSUA, Clico, Miles Partnership, Children's Advocacy Network, Spurgeon Law Firm, Hernan Beck, Peabody graduate, NFL player Jalen Richard, Calvary Baptist Church, Gilchrist Construction, and many more. So all of that came about because you made a stand on what you was going, what kind of man or what kind of film you wanted to shoot.
Absolutely, 100%.
Man, that's awesome, bro. Have you just sat back and kind of reflected on like where you are and like all the success that you've obtained?
Yeah, I mean, when I do reflect, all it is just thanks to God, because He's the one He's the reason I'm in the position I'm in now. It's nothing that I've done. I'm not that special. It's just Him having His favor on me, and me doing my best to try to be obedient to Him. When He calls me and when He tries to lead me and when He leads me.
That's right.
So I got to give credit to Him.
That's right.
Because He opens up the doors, man. And it's been times where I didn't know what was gonna happen the next day. I didn't know when the next opportunity was gonna come, but He always came through with something.
Man, that's what I love about God. When you was talking, I was just thinking about one of my favorite scriptures is let your light shine before men that they can see your good works and glorify our Father.
Yeah.
Because like you could tell like you humble, but at your core you're a man of God, and you getting your direction and all that from Him.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I guess that's what kind of drew me to you, because I used to see you at the barber shop and stuff like that, but we never really just had to sit down and talk. Right. And I know I approached you. I think it might have been in the summertime.
Yeah, it was almost a year ago.
Yeah. And maybe July or something like that, because you had something coming up in August, and you was like, "Well, I got a few things coming up," And then I seen you again in November, and you was like, "Man, I'm ready." You know what I'm saying? And man, it's just a pleasure and an honor and a privilege to have you actually come on, man.
Yeah, man. I'm blessed to be here. I appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Couple more questions. Let's see. What would you say is one of your key motivational factors? Like you said, one of them I know for sure is to leave a legacy.
Yeah.
For your kids. So, what makes you get up every day and really just go hard after it?
I would say that when this life is over, I want to know that I did everything that I could within my power to try to live my life according to what I feel like God has put me here for, with the gifts that He's given me. And not saying that what I'm doing right now is what I'm going to be doing forever. Yeah. I feel like this is what He has me doing right now.
That's right.
And I know the gifts He's given me, and I want to use them to the best of my ability and lead my life in a way that's pleasing to Him.
That's right.
And sometimes it doesn't have to be the glamorous stuff. It doesn't have to be the awards. It could just be treat my fellow man with kindness and love and respect and forgiveness. That's what it looks like on a day-to-day basis.
Man, I was just having a conversation with my brother. We're real close. We're 2.5 years apart. And shout out to Mel. He's in Arlington, Fort Worth area now. Mm-hmm. He's in insurance. But I was talking about just living our life, like you say, in accordance to God's will and stuff like that. And I was like, man, so many blessings are happening in my life. Like, I don't have a lot of people to share it with that will take it in a way of, man, like, I'm not trying to boast myself up. I'm trying to boast up God, because every time I look around, He's blessing me. You know what I mean? Like, even with this podcast, I wanted to start a podcast for the longest, just thinking about it. And I never could find the time, because I'm a barber and a fireman and I have a family, And then last December, I tore my Achilles. So I'm sitting down. Normally around Christmas time, you got Christmas haircuts, but none of that. I couldn't even cut hair. So it was almost like God, like, sit down and let me give you the instructions for this next step. Yeah. So that's when the podcast came about. And I have a brother-in-law, my wife's younger brother, Devin Blade. He's in the film. He graduated from Full Sail. So I reached out to him years ago with my barbershop logo. Anytime I have stuff like that, and I was talking to him about podcasts. I said, man, can you give me a beat for the intro and stuff like that? So everything I needed, he got it for me. Awesome. And I started, like you say, looking at YouTube on how to start, what a podcast consists of, what was some of the good equipment to use, and I just got it like that, man. You know, I just started writing stuff down, like Habakkuk 2:2 say, write the vision down.
Mm-hmm.
And here we are in season 2, just from, you know, sitting down and just talking to God, and this is something that, you know what I'm saying, it's easy to do.
Yeah.
You just have to do it and set aside, let's just buy something here and there, and then here we are.
That's awesome, man. I love that. That's awesome.
Man, just thinking about it, but it goes back to God, man.
Yeah. So did you, when you got into barbering, did you ever envision yourself doing this?
Not at all, man. A guy asked me, yesterday, over the weekend, we had this barber appreciation night at the Pelicans Arena. They recognized all the barbers in the state.
Yeah.
So that was something that was big, and we was talking to the guy that ended up setting it up, and he cuts on LSU campus, where he cuts in the area, all the players out there, and we was just saying, kind of like in the music industry or whatever industry, when you're young, you don't think about that kind of stuff,
right,
man.
Right.
It's just kind of like I was telling, I get to talk to a lot of young men, you know, as mentors, you know, that come to the shop, and I say, whatever's in your heart or you're passionate about, write it down, man,
mm-hmm.
and don't put a time limit on it. I got the name Cuts of Wisdom for this shop in 2010.
Yeah.
You know, I wasn't in the shop at that time. I was just cutting at my mom's house. That was after college. My son was born in 2007. I was pursuing to be a fireman. I wasn't a fireman yet. This was at the groundbreaking of everything, you know. And then my barbershop opened in 2019, which pre-COVID, and it opened in LeCount. Mm-hmm. So
wow.
I didn't have any of this, man. I just knew that I was passionate about barbering. I didn't even know how I was going to be a fireman and a barber. But the way our schedule works, like I work tomorrow and I work Thursday, and then I'm out for 4 days.
Yeah.
So I'm able to cut and be a barber and be a fireman, and now a referee as well. So I do a lot, and the podcast, man. But it's able to be done, you know. And I'm grateful for it, man.
And that's awesome, man, because I got a similar story, too. I can speak to that. Like right now, if you go to my parents' house in my old room, I got like a whiteboard up there, and it got, at the top it says Bonton Media, LLC. It got get a tax ID number and say start my business. And that was like what I would look at every single day.
Yeah.
I would wake up, that would be my goal. Even when I didn't know how to do it, I knew that there was something I wanted to do, you know, and I could imagine that I could something I could work towards.
Yeah.
And it's important, like you said, to write stuff down because it makes it real to you.
Yeah. That's really the basis. If you have people that's not even really walking with God operating in those principles, because the principles work, you know, but as men of God that's actually operating in them, this is how it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
Sunday night after the game, man, I walk in a building, it's Dominique Wilkins. Mm-hmm. Take a picture with me. You know what I'm saying? I never envisioned that kind of stuff doing you know, on the path that I'm on.
Right.
You know, just doing what I'm doing as a barber, opening the doors to. Eventually, I want to cut, you know, celebrities and pros, but that's the part of it, but that's not exactly what I want to do. You know, there's just a part of it, but I'm just like, at the end of the day, one of my other guys talked to it, I'm just a kid from Alexandria.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? With a heart and a passion for men to operate in that passion.
Yeah.
And just to see another brother doing what you're doing on your level, man, I just want to kind of give you your flowers, man.
I appreciate that, brother. Same to you, man.
Yes, sir. So you have a crew. How many camera guys you got, or how many people are a part of Bonsai Media?
So, man, that's something I'm excited about because I'm finally starting to kind of build a team of talented people around me, you know.
Man.
And they're also people who have their own passions and have their own goals as well, but they are gracious enough to help me and lend a hand to kind of help me elevate and build as well, you know. Well, right now we got about 5 people that help me on a consistent basis.
Awesome.
Based on the projects, like we get all kind of different size projects. On the big ones, I'm able to, you know, incorporate as many people as I can. People who are interested, people who want to learn, and people who just want to exercise their gifts like I am, you know. And I'm excited to give other people opportunities because there's been people along my life that's given me opportunities.
That's right.
You know, even whether it be music or in the film industry, people have given me looks and helped me out and brought me along. So I want to do the same thing.
You want to shout out cameraman behind the scenes?
Yeah, shout out to my boy Tyler. He's filming a podcast today.
Yes,
great
sir.
guy, man.
Thank you, Tyler, man. Appreciate you. Just a few more questions and we'll wrap it up. I know you're a busy man. You know,
I'm enjoying it, man. I'm enjoying it.
Yes, sir. Me too. You got baby coming?
Yeah. So prayerfully, right now we're expecting. This is gonna be a boy, so we're excited about that. So my wife, she's due any day now.
Congratulations, man.
Thank you.
That's a beautiful thing. I have 2 of my own. Son's 15, daughter's 4, and they keep me on my toes.
Yeah. You about ready to start again, huh?
Oh, no. Got that boy and the girl. I'm good. Okay. So with your work, commercials and different things you've done, is there a place where people can go and see some of your work?
Yeah, so of course we're active on all social media. You could Bonton Media on any social media platform, but we also have a website. It's bontonmedia.com.
Okay, bontonmedia.com. Was that hard to get that set up?
Not as hard as you would think, man. And that was another thing too, like stuff like that. I think a lot of people let like logistics and that stuff kind of hold them back. But what I've learned is, and even to this day, I'm a guy that's still working with me on it, is sometimes you just got to start.
Yeah.
It don't have to be perfect. It don't have to be all the way put together, but just something started, and then it'll grow and you can perfect it and build it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So with the website, that was something that I built it myself. I did some research and found out how I could do it in a efficient and simplified way. You don't have to go and pay somebody thousands of dollars to build your website. If you want to, you can. Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
But if you just want to get something going to have a footprint online, there's places where you can go and build your website. And I chose and I looked up a site and I built it on there, and it's been up and people use it. People book me on there, and I do it all myself.
Man, that's awesome. Once again, man, this is Kel Bonton, owner of Bonton Media. He's been on here. He shared, how he got started and where he is now, and he dropped a lot of jewels, man. Like, to be honest with, I wouldn't want to live a life, man, that God ain't a part of, and not to beat no one up, with ourselves. We all can make adjustments and stuff like that in our lives, but God is the perfect gentleman. He's not going to force us to do anything, but when you align yourself up with His will, man, I don't say the sky's the limit, because it is no limit, because with God, He said all things are possible. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So if you want your career to go in the right direction or whatever you're doing, you best to line up with His will. That's the key. Far as people that's looking to maybe to reach out or join your team, what would you tell them?
I would say you could reach out to me on any social media or reach out to us on bontonmedia.com.
Okay.
I'm open to, whoever wants to come. We love it. Photographers, videographers, designers, coordinators, set designers, everything. It's all welcome.
Do you have any merchandise available, Bonton?
Not yet. Okay. I mean, we have stuff that's for the team, but we haven't put it out for public yet. But that's something that we probably look into in the future. Okay.
So when is your anniversary date for the company? I know you opened it in 2018.
Yeah, so I opened it up, I want to say it was in May. I can't remember the exact date, but it's in May.
Okay. Are you going to celebrate what it is? This will be 5 years this year.
Yeah, man.
It'll be something to celebrate.
We might have to do something. But not, like I say, and that kind of goes back to what we talked about earlier. Sometimes we got to sit back and reflect, on things that God has done for us, and that's a milestone, and I'm open to doing something for it.
Yes, sir. Well, we want to thank Mr. Bonton for his time today.
Thank you.
No problem, man. This episode will be available on Spotify, Amazon, and Apple Podcasts. Also, Mr. Bonton is recording this, so the video will be available Just be up and coming and looking forward to it. Thank you for tuning in. And once again, I'm your host, Jay Smith. I'm on all social platforms. On Instagram, it's J86Smith, and that's JAY86Smith. Facebook, Jamar Smith. And thank y'all for tuning in, and God bless.